What's up, America? Neil here from Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to take a quick look at how to sight in a rifle. This is going to be very basic, the 101. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about an AR15. And let's say that you just bought one of these and you want to sight it in, or you've had one for a while, you've never done it, or just in general you want to know how does it work. Okay. So one thing I'll mention. This is my wife's home defense firearm. I took the sling off. You'll see in the other video I'm a big proponent of having a sling for weapons retention. And I'll put a link to this video and you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about AR15s for home defense. But today we're going to work on adjusting our rear and our front sights to zero in our rifle. This is going to be super basic. Again, this is just you're new to the rifle or new to sighting, and so we're going to explain the fundamentals here so that you can actually go out and do this. And this should be a fun experience for you guys. This is something that you can do at a range or wherever, and I suggest you do it with live rounds. People like to sight things in, they bore sighting with the laser and so forth first to get close, to get on paper. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's part of the fun of learning your weapon, okay? So first and foremost, obviously we have a front and a rear sight. So this rear sight here is going to adjust the windage. That's the point of impact left or right on the target, okay? Very, very simple. And then of course, here on the front sight, we have our elevation. So that's where the point of impact is, up or down, okay? So we're gonna make adjustments of both of those to get us into a nice little zeroed in target. Now, one thing to be said, there's a bunch of discussion on at what distance. I like to sight all my rifles in at 50 yards. 50 yards for me, that's going to be pretty much point of impact at close distances, and even out to 200 to 300 yards, very little adjustment there. So that's a nice adjustment. It covers a wide range of shooting and still gets you right where you need to be, especially since we're talking about, for the most part, defensive use. So for combat accuracy, that's why I set it up. There's other philosophies and you can set it up however you like, okay? Plus I have a 50-yard range in my backyard, so it's pretty convenient for me. All right, so let's delve into this. This is the rear sight, so let's look at the fundamentals here. The sight is going to be adjusted on the rear for point of impact. In other words, if you want your shots to hit more to the right, you move the sight post to the right. If you want it to hit more to the left, you move the sight to the left. So wherever the gun is hitting, and wherever your adjustments want to be is the direction that you want this to go. So if it's too far left, move it to the right. If it's too far right, move it to the left. So this is literally in the same direction that you want the bullet to impact, left or right. So on the front sight, this is going to adjust your elevation up or down, and this is actually going to be the opposite. So if you want the bullet to impact higher, then you're going to make the post go lower. If you want the opposite effect, you want the bullet to hit lower, then you're going to make the post go higher. And you can actually see these are Magpul M-Bus sights. I highly recommend these. It actually has the word up with an arrow, so you know exactly which way to turn it to make that adjustment. So let's talk about why this is the opposite for point of impact, or where the bullet impacts, and why this is the same. All right, so fundamentally this is how it works. I folded these sights down, and I'm using my thumbs now as kind of the makeshift sights. So why does this work? If I take my front sight, okay, my front thumb, and let's just make a big adjustment. I move it way up high like this, right? Okay, so it's sitting up high. In order for me to line my sights up now, okay, what I have to do is take this rear sight and bring it up to meet that sight, which makes my barrel go down. So by moving the sight up, it allows me to shoot my point of impact is going to be lower. The bullet will hit lower. If I bring it the opposite direction, bring it down really low, then I have to bring the barrel up to be even with my rear sight, so I shoot higher. So now let's look at the rear sight. This is our windage, left and right. If I move this sight way to the left here, in order to line my sight up now, I have to bring my front sight over to line up, which is going to make me shoot in that direction. Obviously the same is true on this side. Then I line my sights up and I shoot that direction, so left or right. So this is going to be left or right depending on which way you want the bullet to impact, and this is going to be up or down, the opposite of what you want to do. When we begin the sight-in process, there's two things we're going to want to make sure that we check first when we put the sights on. And usually they come this way, but just double check. On the back, and I don't care if the camera can see this, but on the back area here, you're actually going to see little lines, little hash marks. So you know every time you make an adjustment, okay, which way the sight is going and where it begins. So we're always going to start off at dead zero, so that that center line, the main center line on your sights with the mag bullets, I'll see if I can get the view. You see those hash marks on there? So there you go, you can see those hash marks. Mine is not dead center because I've already sighted this in, and so that's the adjustment I needed to make. For the front sight, there's going to be that post, and you want to make that level, and I'll bring it up to the camera here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The front sight here, I'm talking about this little ledge part right here. That's where the actual front post screws up or down. You'll start that out where that's completely level, and there's a little bit of adjustment there, you can just barely tell. The other thing is when we do sight these in, we're not going to be sighting this at a standing position. You're going to make sure that these are bench rested. However, whatever method you want to use, if you have a bench rest or something that you can rest this on, the whole thing here is just got to be stable so that we are consistently taking the shots in the same position. It's not adjusted by the end user. Okay, very important. And after we get close, once you feel that you are zeroed in, make sure that we're not just taking that last shot and go, oh, I hit the bullseye, good, done. Make sure you can repeatedly, consistently make that same shot again and again to verify that it is in fact zeroed. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This is a very, very basic 101 of sight adjustments, but that's all you need to know to get out there and start having some fun, start putting some rounds down range and making adjustments and learn how to zero a rifle. I hope you liked this. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. You'll be notified every time I put a new video out. Feel free to comment and ask questions, but don't fight. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.